everyone. I am Ritesh Devadiga from Onsurity, your host for today's Wellness Wednesday. We often think of mental health as something abstract or hard to track, but truth is it's about daily choices. But like we plan our meals, we can also plan our habits for better emotional focus and calm. But exactly where today's session is about the mental health menu, design your day. We are joined by Deshna Gundecha, a counseling psychologist with an MSc in organizational psychology from the University of London. Welcome, Deshna.
Thank you. Thank you, Ritesh.
With years of experience in therapy and group facilitation and work space wellness, she helps people turn psychological science into practical everyday habits. Through her work, Deshna has guided professionally across sectors to regulate stress, reconnect with purpose, and build resilience with simple yet powerful practices. And remember, this is an interactive session. Please share your questions in the chat, and we'll cover them during the Q&A. So, all over to you, Rishna.
Thank you, Ritesh, for your introduction and your kind words. Hi, everyone. It's really glad that you're here, and I'm grateful that you're carving out some time for your mental health. I directly just want to start and set the table. We all know the importance of nourishing our bodies, which means that we plan our meals, we choose the right ingredients, and sometimes even treat ourselves to a little bit of dessert. But what about our minds? So today we're stepping into a different kind of a kitchen, one where you are the chef and the focus is your mental well-being. Think of your day like a mental health menu with light, energizing practices to start your morning, fulfilling routines to keep you grounded, and small indulgences that help you wind down and sprinkle a little bit of joy in your day. So let's explore a three-course meal and figure out how you can design a daily menu that doesn't just keep going, but helps you feel truly well. What we do need to remember is taking care of our mental health is about nourishing our minds, building consistent habits, and understanding that it takes a lot of personalization, a lot of trial and error to figure out what really works for you. So my job here today is to introduce you to a wholesome menu that help you fill up your plate with something that will work well for you. But before we jump into this, let's talk about why this is important. So, we often think that mental health is about depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, panic attacks. And if you feel like, no, I don't have those, so I'm good. But let me just throw some light on this. There is a clinical and a non clinical side to mental health. Not everything might need medication, but almost everything can be solved with coaching or therapy. You might not have any clinical condition, but if you're prone to anxiety, if you're constantly worried about the future, or you're feeling overwhelmed for long periods of time, if you feel anxious often or have a constant feeling that you're not good enough, or even have a tendency of people pleasing, your mental health will suffer. Mental health is beyond bipolar or depression or schizophrenia. It's a lot more than that. It's about self-esteem. It's about knowing how to deal with negative thought loops that we all struggle with. It's about creating boundaries, about getting comfortable with asking for help, and knowing or recognizing when you're exhausted, and knowing when to take a break, and how to get a creative reset. Unfortunately, we don't understand mental health like this, and because there is so much apprehension, people will not come forward for it until they're at crisis stage. Sometimes our mental health takes a simple takes a hit because we take on too much, more than what our time, resources, energy can actually hold. Whether it's work, it's projects, or even putting an event together, everything starts to pile up. But if we're aware of our limits, if we can build healthy boundaries or know when to say no, we can protect ourselves from that. When we don't know, that's when anxiety starts to creep in. That's when, stress builds up, and suddenly we're snapping at people, feeling short tempered, and just unhappy in general. Our mental health could also take a hit if we have a low self worth or self esteem, or if we have people pleasing tendencies. It all starts with tiny awareness, understanding who we are and what works for us, and choosing the right practices for ourselves. Let me put some perspective into this. Good mental health is like an insurance policy, but even better. Now, how? I'll explain that. Where an insurance policy has covered you in case of a medical emergency, but only financially, right? The body still goes through the trauma, the sudden crash, and it probably takes months to recover. Sometimes you don't even recover fully, ever. But good mental health, on the other hand, makes sure that you don't fall as hard and you recover sooner. It's like a cushioning the impact of a fall and builds your strength to stand up and recover sooner. Just like how you don't self-diagnose and self-treat your heart conditions, you go to a specialist, your cardiologist, or just the way that you don't treat a skin infection or ailment on your own, you definitely go to a dermatologist for your skin health. The same way, you shouldn't think that you can self-treat your mental health concerns. You should consult someone who's trained in helping you work your way through any struggles that you're facing. Bottom line, reach out to a professional and make sure that you're using these DIY tools that I'll be discussing in the session today. But consult with a therapist or a coach first, depending on your needs. Now, what is a mental health menu and why is it important? Just the way we have a three-course meal, starting with a light appetizer, something that isn't intense, but it's flavorful enough that gets your appetite rolling. Um, Appetizers for mental health are just low effort, low intensity practices that could be used to either kickstart your day or close the day or even offer a reset during the day. Main course is what forms the body of your meal, which with which we fill ourselves up, like our dal and roti in our everyday appetite, right? These become the foundation of our well-being. And lastly, desserts are the sweet delights that we sometimes cheat and even sneak in without a main course. The same way, we're going to explore some practices that are light, low energy, but not necessarily low impact, that could help us bring in more energy, more clarity, a sense of rootedness, or a sense of calm as appetizers. For main course, we're going to be exploring deeper, slightly longer commitment practices that, if and when done over a period of time, make us feel more centered, more rooted, even more self-aware and in tune with ourselves. These are like your compass that keep you steady, or like an umbrella that shields you from a rainy day. For desserts, we're going to be exploring sweet, delightful practices, like I mentioned, that sprinkle joy in our lives. It uplifts our mood and just leave us with a pleasant aftertaste. The reason we're here creating this menu for ourselves is because we all, it could be at different points in time, but we all go through dips and lows in our lives. These practices are like insurance cover that help us tide over the tough time. So let's take a look at each of these courses in the next few slides. Also remember that wherein the three-course meal, that is the appetizers, the main course, and the dessert come in succession. For your menu, you can choose to start with desserts, or you can end with appetizers. There is no fixed way, there is no right or wrong of consuming these. Have them based on your needs, and in the next few slides I'll show you how to choose as well, right? Moving on, but before I start talking about appetizers and main course and desserts, I do want to bust a few myths today. Here are 4 mental health truths that nobody told you about. First, no, you are not imagining it. Your struggle is real. Oftentimes, when you reach out to someone to share about your struggles and everything that you're going on, that is going on in your life, people respond with, "Oh, you need to man up," or "You need to toughen up," or they'll probably start advising you or say things like, "I went through the same thing and I'm doing just fine." I want to remind you that don't take it personally. Unfortunately, people don't know how to handle mental health care conversations, let aside knowing what to say or do when somebody presents with their struggles. Do not take that as a sign, don't take that as a rejection of your struggle, but only as a sign to find somebody who has the ability or at least the training to understand and help you with it. Second, it's not just in your mind. I promise it's not in your mind. Unresolved pain, trauma, grief, even anger lives in your body. It lives in your bones, in the backache that you experience, the skin rash that has no cause, the chills, the autoimmune disease, the persistent lack in shoulder pain. It lives in the body unless you actively release it. So take a pause and ask yourself, what all might you be holding on to right now? Third, it isn't just a switch, just saying that think positive or don't stress about it, don't worry about it. Worry doesn't go away when you hear these statements. You just can't flip a switch from negative thinking to positive thinking whenever you want. It it takes help, effort, a lot of practice to do it. Most importantly, it takes a lot of time to think differently. So give yourself that time. And lastly, if you think that you're the only one struggling, I promise you, you're not. More often than not, when we think that when we are struggling, we feel like we're the only ones going through something terrible. We feel alone in our struggles, in our thoughts, in our emotions. But the truth is, everyone absolutely struggles at some or the other point in time. The only two differences here are, the someone's struggles might be short lived and they might be able to recover sooner. For someone else, it might linger for long periods of time, affecting their normal work and relationships adversely. But and the second point is, some people are brave enough to ask for help, reach out to people or their closed ones. Some people aren't. So don't let anyone invalidate your struggles. Don't try to push the thoughts away. Don't let anyone tell you to flip the switch, and know that you're not the only one in your struggles. Now we're going to kick start with our appetizers. These are small practices, low effort and short duration, and have practices that you can do while either traveling to and fro from work, or just as you wake up, or even sneak in during lunch break or meetings. I do want to add that these practices are extremely versatile, which means that these can be used in a multitude of ways. You can use these in the morning to maybe boost your focus or your energy. Maybe you're looking for a sense of grounding or a sense of calm before you start your hectic day. You could use them during the day to provide a quick reset or a quick rest or a respite from a sense of overwhelm that you've been carrying the entire day. They could be used to give you a confidence boost just before you walk into an important meeting. These could also be used at the end of the day to just de-stress, give yourself a closure for the day. So let me just present the menu and I'll let you decide for yourself what is it that you might want to use. Breathwork. This is the simplest tool that we all freely have available to us. Although it seems simple, but by changing our breath, we have the ability to change how we feel. Notice that, anytime you're anxious or stressed, your breath will become shallow. It will become short paced, and at most of the times, you'll find yourself practicing chest breathing when in turn you should be breathing from your belly. But when you shift how you breathe, you start taking deep breaths. You send a message to your nervous system and your body that it's okay to relax. Your heart rate starts returning to its normal pace, and your mind starts calming down. You'll see that your tense muscles also start relaxing. There are a variety of breath work practices like box breathing, alternate nostril breathing, 4-7-8 technique, where you inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, and exhale for 4 seconds. So yeah, this is my invitation for you to explore, experiment, and identify what works best for you. Journaling is the practice of allowing your thoughts to just flow out directly from your mind onto a paper without editing. This can help you untangle so many knots and thoughts for yourself, resolve some subconscious challenges that you didn't even know existed. This comes from personal experience. If you use journaling regularly, it can be a powerful practice. An example of journaling could be, for example, let's say that, I presented my work to my boss and he didn't say much and he said that he'll respond tomorrow. In my head, I could have thoughts like, did I make a mistake? Could I have done this better? Is he happy with my report? While journaling, what I'll do is I'll write these exact thoughts as they come to me. No editing, no filtering, just allowing my thoughts to reach the paper without my mind trying to make it sound pretty. And the best part is that you don't even need to keep this. Feel free to, journal on a paper, then tear the paper away and just throw it away. This could also be like a physical expression of you letting go of something. Mindful tea time is just allowing tea time to be about tea and nothing else, taking a mental break from the constant flurry of thoughts that we have throughout the day, just being present with the tea or any other beverage of your choice, or even snacks, or even lunchtime, just being in that moment and enjoying that break, that rest that your body deserves. You could be even taking a small walk, but remember to do that mindfully. The word mindful is of utmost importance here. Intention setting is pausing at the beginning of the day to set the intention for that day. For example, if you get angry often or you're snapping at people, set the intention to pause before you react. If you're used to being distracted while being with your family, set the intention to be more mindful, more present that day. The idea of this activity is to switch from the autopilot mode that we're constantly in to a more conscious living. How many of us decide at the beginning of the day how we want to how we want to feel and how we want the day to be? At most of the times we just let the day happen to us. What if instead we choose at the beginning of the day how we want to feel, and try and align the day to what our expectations are? Decluttering is not just your physical spaces, but sometimes also your mental space. It could be, decluttering some of the regrets that you're holding on to, grudges that you're holding on to, or maybe comments that somebody has made, the overthinking, cleaning up on unhelpful thought patterns or worries. All of this becomes a messy puddle in our minds, and we experience brain fog and the overwhelm and the inner critique that keeps stops us from being creative and productive. So how do we do that? um, in simple words, through meditation, through prioritization, through journaling, like we discussed, through letting go. But most importantly, my favorite, the practice of understanding what's in the circle of our control and what's not. The circle of control is basically focusing on the things that are in your control and letting go of those that aren't in your control. Light stretches. Our sedentary lifestyle leaves us prone to muscle degeneration, weight gain, high cholesterol, diabetes, poor blood circulation, poor heart health, and the list will go on if I keep talking about it. But light stretching, when done in bed or whenever, even as when you wake up or even at your desk while you're overwhelmed, can be very, very helpful. Let me give you a quick simple example of how this could help. Quite a few people have leg restlessness and they can't sleep at night, which leads to poor sleep. Of course, poor sleep then leads to your brain not functioning at its best, which means that you make subpar decisions. You could be groggy, or you could be cranky the next day, and you could also be snapping at people. Maybe something as simple as some seated leg, calf stretches or toe raises. These simple stretches, what they'll do is they'll reduce your restlessness, help you sleep better. And of course, if you sleep better, you're well rested the next day, you get more work done, and you're in a good mood. And who wouldn't want that? We all want to be in good moods. Light stretches can help in improving your flexibility, your posture. These can help you improve blood circulation, muscle tension, and a lot more. The benefits are never ending. Silent mini retreat, because we're constantly bombarded with a lot of stimulation around us. Taking some silent time to go inwards and check in with yourself can help us hear our own voice. Maybe we're stuck in a job that is draining us, and we hear that little voice um in ourselves screaming stop. Maybe we've been working too much and we're able to hear our body asking for rest. These can be very insightful when done inner space, when you have the space to reflect, when you're silent. So do give it a try, please. Gratitude corner, because so often we take the good things for granted and only focus on what we don't have. While it's great to strive and want better things, it's also important to be grateful for everything that you have right now. Carving out a small space to feel and express gratitude for what we're blessed with or what made us smile today is extremely crucial. Something as simple as, being grateful for having your favorite food today, or even just saying that you're grateful for having that unexpected interaction with your neighbor. These are tiny things that made you smile. Affirmations, because our mind is constantly listening to what we say to ourselves or what we talk about ourselves, right? So why not use this opportunity or this chance to say good things to ourselves or reaffirm our faith in our own selves? It could be as simple as I'm happy and healthy, repeating something more powerful like I'm the creator of my own reality. Affirmations can be used to build on a belief that you are in control of your day, and they could be, to counter the inner nagging that keeps telling you that you're not good enough, by saying that you're doing the best that you can and you are enough. Yeah, because yes, you are. And as I speak about this, I realize that it can be difficult to believe in these affirmations as you begin with, but it takes time, it takes practice, and some techniques to get good at affirmations. But again, they're a wonderful wellness tool that you can use on your own. And last but not the least, we work inside insulated buildings. We walk with insulation on our feet and barely get any sun throughout the day. Nature heals. Try practices like forest bathing, grounding, which is about just walking bare feet on the grass, soak in some vitamin D, spend some time in the nature, go to a park, look at the trees, the green leaves that we have around us. Let nature do its healing magic on you. Please allow yourself to be around nature for some time. And with that, we're also moving on to main courses right now. Main course is like I mentioned in the beginning, a longer duration commitment practices. Under that comes mind body practices. Mind body practices are practices that look at the mind and the body as one unit instead of two separate entities, like yoga, tai chi, or qigong, which are, Chinese practices that can work on the energy, that is the qi, in the body for healing and mental clarity. Somatic movement, which is about movement that not only works on the body but also on the trapped emotions in your body that get stuck in your body and show up as these inexplicable pains and aches and muscle tension that have no apparent cause. PMR, which is the progressive muscle relaxation, is a specific type of technique used in therapy or meditation in which you tense, hold, and release each muscle one by one to experience a deep body relaxation. The practice is done to bring awareness about how a body part feels when it's tense and how it feels when it's relaxed, because this will help improve your awareness of your body. EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, again a specific tapping technique in which you tap on 9 different points in the upper body to release tension and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which we've all learned that is the rest and reset and the digest mode in our body. Now, the mental and emotional clarity practices, because a lack of these can steer your life into places that you definitely don't want to be in. A lack of clarity means wrong decisions, and they can be very costly. Wrong decisions can be extremely expensive. So try your hands at therapy or a coaching session. It can give you the right perspective on a situation. A therapy session or a coaching session will help you validate your concerns, and it'll teach you tools to manage whatever it is that you're dealing with. It could be a low sense of worth, it could be the inability to take decisions, or it could be just procrastination at work. The idea is that coaching or therapy can give you tools that you otherwise might not be aware of. Also, where many people turn to AI these days, the reason why a human or a person is a better idea is because, for example, let's say you feed your AI that you've been procrastinating on this so and so task. What can you do? And AI might give you tips on how you can overcome the struggle of procrastination, and it'll give you logical steps. But a coach or a therapist will ask you richer, deeper, reflective questions to get to the root cause of what the issue is. Maybe it's possible that procrastination is just a protection of your fear of failure, or maybe you're not clear about what is it that you really want to do. Maybe you've set a goal too high that it paralyzes you even before you start. A therapist or a coach will go into what's standing in your way, which might not be so straightforward, and it'll help you untangle these thoughts that are not on the surface level, and it'll also help you get these unhelpful thought patterns out of your way. Journaling, I've already discussed how important it is to use journaling, but journaling can become slightly challenging, especially if you've never done it before. This is when journaling with prompts become easier. The purpose of these prompts is that they offer structured guidance to explore your thoughts and emotions, which will help you understand yourself better. I personally also only buy books that have pre-written journaling prompts, because it's easy for me to then sit down and write about my experience throughout the day. A simple prompt that I can give you is, at the end of the day, what you can do is journal about what obstacles did I face today and how did I overcome them. If I didn't, what can I do differently next time? Just sitting with this prompt will allow your thoughts to flow very freely, right? Mindfulness practices, these are simple acts of, mindfulness practice is the simple act of learning how to be present in the moment and taking your attention inward. With mindfulness, not only are you able to dial down the inner chatter, you're also able to hear your own voice more clearly. You'll definitely have more clarity. There's lesser noise in your head. You're more aware and you're more in control of your thoughts and emotions. And this reflects on every aspect of your life, your work, your relationships, and not just with others, relationship with yourself as well. So do give it a try and explore mindfulness with an expert. Lastly, catching up and social engagement. We underestimate the impact social engagements have on us. Have you ever noticed how you might not laugh at a joke when you're alone, but when you're hanging out with a bunch of friends, you'll be laughing at the silliest of things, right? Social engagements, depending on how you're feeling and of course your personality, it can be a great way to break away from routines and just slow down time. I know that some people who are probably introverts do not like socializing in large groups. For them, it can be extremely draining. So, like I mentioned before, it's important to know who you are and choose your menu based on your needs and your choices and what works best for you. Moving on, physical movement not just releases trapped emotions and stress from the from the body, but when done as an exercise, it also releases endorphins that, of course, boosts your moods and helps you in releasing a lot of pain, physical or emotional. Starting with nature walk that we have been talking about, and forest bathing, just a very simple practice of walking in nature setting where you can feel the warmth of your feet, you can feel the warmth of sun on your skin, you can hear the birds chirping in the background, and you can hear the rustling of the leaves under your feet every time you walk. Simple pleasures that can be so rejuvenating if and only if you tune into them fully. Swimming or aquatic therapy, these are just low impact full body workouts in the water. They're great in building strengths, they're great in building flexibility, and have a multitude of other benefits like pain reduction, improved blood circulation, better mental health, etc., etc. Again, like I mentioned, you don't have to do all of these. If you don't like water, you can choose which ones work best for you. Maybe you like swimming, maybe you like yoga, you like a regular walk, maybe you like running. Take your pick. There is no hard and fast. Strength training or Pilates. Again, these are also practices that will help you build more muscle, build more strength, physical and emotional strength. Why do we? And the reason why I keep talking about strength is, um, let me explain this with an example. A good lower body strength and muscle ensures that when you fall, your bones don't break. Your bones are just cushioned with muscle, and the lower body strength would also mean that if you do get hurt, it means that there's quicker recovery. So strength in daily context means carrying those heavy grocery bags, carrying your kid up a flight of stairs, or even moving furniture around the house without breaking your back. Dance therapy or any free form movement through music. Did you know that your body's language of expression is movement? Movement can be therapeutic, and it can help release so much stress, so much trauma that's stored in the body, so many unprocessed emotions that are in the body. In fact, there are specifically trained practitioners for something called dance movement therapy, which uses movement for your creative emotional expression. And as we speak about creative expression, I also want to move on to the next part of the slide, that is creative mental wellness practices. Well-being isn't achieved only through pills, medications, and therapy. It also comes through creative practices like art therapy, music therapy, or any other such creative activities if you know how to use them. For example, art journaling or creative writing. These are practices where you connect with your innermost emotions, bypassing your logical brain, and you use your pen, your paints, your colors to pour out whatever you're holding on to inside. It can be extremely therapeutic if it's done in the right way. Again, there are specialists even here who work as art therapists, who hold art therapy sessions to help their clients navigate challenges like inability to sleep, or just regular stress, or even complex issues like processing complex trauma. Vision board. Vision boards are another creative tool. It can be a lot of fun. I love vision boards. These are just collages of images, texts, affirmations, quotes, whatever sits well with you that you want to invite into your life. It's about creating a version of reality that you want your life to be, and then keep looking at it every single day, telling your mind about your goals, so that you and your mind uh, start finding ways to achieve these dreams. We've actually done an entire workshop on vision board, so reach out if you want to know more. Um, Musical experiences. By musical experiences, I mean both passive listening and active creation. This could mean attending a concert or a live show. It could mean playing an instrument that you might connect with. Music has the ability to move us, to evoke emotions, and that's a good thing. Sometimes it helps us feel and move through things we're trying to keep hidden and buried inside of us. Lastly, winding down nighttime rituals. This is either a single practice or a combination of practices, simple practices that you can do at the end of the day, just to let your brain know that it's time to relax and eventually fall off to sleep. Create your own nighttime rituals. It could be, just a combination of sitting with a cup of green tea, just some journaling, some light stretching, and a sleep meditation to end the day and doze off, or maybe just dimming the lights and meditating a few minutes before going to bed. Whatever fits well with you. Moving on to the last set of practices, that are spiritual practices or even reflective practices like chanting, which doesn't have to be religious at all. It could be mantras, affirmations, or even just a sound. Chanting can be religious, yes, but it's also spiritual or neutral meaning with no religious connotation at all. These can have different purposes as well. Some could be to focus on a frequency that in turn works on the body in a certain way. Some could be to just quiet the mind and foster greater awareness of the present moment. Some examples of chants that I regularly use in my practices is the Aum chanting, which is widely practiced in yoga, which focuses on the vibration of each of these different Aum sound. Visualization is about taking the time to drop an image of the desired outcome. For example, if you want to ace a client presentation, you visualize that you visualize yourself in that setting as in as much detail as you can, giving the presentation confidently, and then being congratulated and appreciated by the client. Visualization is a technique where you show the mind exactly what you desire. The reason this is done is because the mind only understands inputs in two ways: words and images. So show your mind that you want what you want with vision boards, visualizations, with affirmations. Lastly, sacred space. We usually think that the only a religious space can be a sacred space, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can even create a small sacred space in your own home, in your room, where you step into, where you feel calm, feel relaxed to find, or you find clarity. Although it's not limited to these practices, but just here are just a few main course practices or main course meals that you can explore and experiment with. I will be now moving on to the last section, which is the dessert section. So desserts, like I mentioned, are practices that give you a rush, just like a sugar rush. Again, low effort, low commitment practices that you can choose to do or sprinkle some joy into your life. Just like, you bake a cake or you order a cake whenever you want one. Similarly, you can bake these into your day or just sprinkle them throughout the week to keep your spirit high. Sorry. Um, uh, First one, digital detox fun time. In our lives today, we spend over 2 hours every day on our phones. If we add up our screen time with our laptops and then the content we watch on OTT, we spend most of our waking time in front of the screen. And of course, like working in front of a laptop as well. Create times during the day where you put your devices away and have some fun. It could be playing some fun games, reading books, talking to your spouse, or even just stepping in your building complex to play a sport. The easiest way to add some non-screen fun time is to pick up a board game or even a game of carom at home. Unwinding with some laughs. There's nothing better to soothe, the soul and lighten the mood than with some laughs. It could be watching a funny movie or a stand-up comedy or even a cute cat meme. Take your pick. Find what tickles your bones, or just catch up with some friends or for some laughs. Listen to a playlist. Music, like I discussed, is such a great way to change your mood, to help you move through some difficult emotions. Create your own playlist for different moods, something that gets you tapping your feet, something that makes you want to sing along, something that uplifts your mood, or even something that helps you feel and process pain or grief that you're dealing with. Treating yourself. Sometimes it's good to remember that we don't necessarily need to wait for someone else to take us out on a treat. We can do something to pamper ourselves as well. Go book a spa or a massage, or just get a head massage. Take yourself out on a fancy dinner or even a simple dinner, or a movie where there is no one to disturb you. It's just you and your me time. I know the house can be quite divided on this. Some people find watching a movie or having dinner alone quite depressing. And in my experience, when my clients try it, they find it extremely liberating. So like I have said before, take your pick. Better yet, if none of those work for you, have a do nothing day, where you literally do nothing. No to-do list to do, no tasks to complete, no plans to execute. You give your mind and a body a break with just doing nothing. By the way, the the do nothing is harder than you think. I have tried it. It's just tried sometimes. Exploring change. Sometimes change is what you need to break yourself out of a spiral or a low. The magical thing with change is that it stumps the mind. When you're in a new setting, the mind doesn't just know what's going to happen next, so it breaks the regular patterns of overthinking or negative thought loops, and it tries to find new ways of how things can be done. Just think about it. Have you ever wondered why so many people experiment with a new haircut after a breakup? They're looking to try on a new vibe, so to just shake things up a little bit, even in small measures. I know it's nothing big or nothing fancy, but even in small measures, do something out of your routine, something that moves you from autopilot to active thinking, something that moves you from the mundane everyday thing to exciting things. Games with friends or family. I have already spoken about this, but remember, when we used to be kids, our days used to revolve around evening playtime. We used to look forward to playing. That doesn't have to change now. Okay, I get that we may not have the time to do it every day, but we can still carve out some time to add some play in our lives with friends or family or kids, your kids. It could be card games, board games, or even treasure hunts. Find what works best for you, and what you could easily fit into your routine. And last but not the least, inner child practices or inner child activities. Because when was the last time you let your inner child out? Dance in the rain, be silly, indulge in some coloring time or painting, or just letting your hair down and dancing away without any care. Maybe play with some sand or a clay or doodle. It's not a bad idea to let the adult you sit on sides and the child inside of you take over sometimes. This could look different for all of you. So ask yourself what you would enjoy doing if nobody was watching you and if you had the time and space to do it. And with that, we have come to an end to discussing the dessert section. Now you'll wonder that how to decide what to pick for myself, because not every day is going to be the same, right? Because let's say, some days you're pure vegetarian, some days you're hardcore non-vegetarian, some days you're just on a soup and salad diet. The same way, our mental diet can also change from day to day. So how do you identify what you should practice today? Step 1, check in with yourself, identify how you feel, because identification is the first step to or like awareness is the first step to execution. Step 2, now that you know how you feel right now, identify how you would want to feel, like the goal emotion. Choose your practices based on the goal emotion. And step 3 is, remember that whatever has worked for you today might not work next week or maybe tomorrow or even next month. So keep auditing and pivot with change. I'll just explore this with an example. Let's say you listen to your mind chatter and you figure out that you have too much on your plate. There seems to be no time to rest. And you realize that you're not even sure if you'll be able to handle everything. And you're worried that, you let other people down. So this means that you're feeling overwhelmed, right? Moving on to step 2, where we ask ourselves what feels aligned and what might help me feel more centered. For this, I would recommend, maybe doing a 5-minute breath work to activate the parasympathetic nervous system so that you move from fight or flight to a more social engagement, more centered self. You could also incorporate some grounding meditation, some earthing to find your centers, to find your stance, or maybe even soaking in some sun, walking around, letting the nature do its magic on you. For main course, let's say I would recommend, if you're overwhelmed, I'd recommend 50 to 20 minutes of stretching that you can do at your desk. or even a 20-25 minutes yoga session that will help you improve blood circulation. It'll keep you active throughout the entire day. And for the end of the day, I would recommend light but late night snack in the form of some journaling, where you put on where you just write and put your thoughts onto a paper about the emotions you've experienced throughout the day, or how about everything that's happened during the day, or how you felt about it, with some movement to release stress and tension from the body, and a little bit of guided meditation as well, so that so that it helps you sleep well, because sleep is extremely important. You will realize that if you don't get a good night's sleep, you're extremely cranky the next day. So this is just an example. You can, of course, add, subtract, whatever it is that you would want to do based on your own needs and your own mood and your own emotion. But before that, there are a few things that you absolutely must avoid. First, junk food. Just as you watch your diet, when you're taking care of your physical health, you watch your diet and you limit the intake of junk food in your diet, you also need to actively limit the junk diet for your mind. Junk food for our mind would mean negative news, conspiracy theories, doomsday predictions, or disaster news that go on in our social media or on the TV. So stay like, just limit. I'm not saying stay away from the news, but limit your access to the news. Second, aping other people's diets. Stop looking at other people and comparing yourselves to them. So often, we think that just because intermittent fasting has worked for Jack Dorsey, it'll work for you too. Or if, yoga has worked for Malaika Arora, it'll work for you too. But that's not the case. Maybe you like aerobics or you like running, and I have been talking about this, but I think comparing ourselves to other people just comes in our way. So it's the practice of keep going back to ourselves and reminding that it's important that you choose practices based on your needs, so that everything that you do is going to be sustainable and not short lived. And lastly, overeating. When you're paying attention to physical health, or when you're paying attention to your physical your body and how it looks, you limit overeating, right? So the same way, remember to protect your brain from overstimulation. In today's day and era, we're constantly in front of a screen. Limit your screen time and limit the exposure to digital devices, so that your brain gets some break during the day, and you get a chance to rest and reset whenever it is possible for you. I'll just go on to the last slide and explain how you can, you know, uh, I'll walk you through a few examples of how you can choose your diet. The first one that I want to talk about, let's say that you're feeling low. Let's say that you've identified that there is a lack of motivation in your day. What you can do, and something that I recommend, is uplifting your mood, right? So listen to maybe 10 minutes of energizing playlist. Listen to your favorite music with just a creative movement. Start flowing to that music just to loosen up a bit. You don't have to do this in front of anyone. You can do this when you're alone. You can also maybe pull out your journal or a piece of paper, and start by writing down a few journal prompts that you think would help you explore what's making you feel the way you're feeling right now. It would definitely, I mean, when you're feeling low, or when there is a persistent feeling of lack of motivation, it would definitely be a good idea to explore a session with a coach to see what's underneath the lack of motivation, so that the coach can also help you set up some small goals and some small wins, and you'll have someone who holds you accountable, so that you don't have to do everything by yourself. Lastly, I would definitely recommend trying something new. A lack of motivation comes from mundane or monotonous routines. So adding in a few new things. It could be simple routines, new place to walk, or maybe a new dressing style, or a new, a new haircut that we discussed in the last session. These can be like tiny practices that you're signaling your brain that there is some change, there is some reset to your routine, right? If you're experiencing anger, let's assume that you're experiencing anger and frustration either in your personal relationships or your work. I would recommend 10 minutes of rage on the page journaling. I personally do this a lot. Whenever I feel frustrated in my environment, I just go on a rant. When I'm writing, I'm journaling unfiltered everything about why I'm feeling angry, what made me feel angry. And with that, while the rage page is great, I also follow it up with just some breathing techniques so that my nervous system can come back to a more centered position. I usually do a simple box breathing or a 4-7-8 seconds technique that I was talking about. Basically, the box breathing is equal part inhale. So for example, if you're inhaling for 4 seconds and you're exhaling for 4 seconds, that's box breathing. It'll give you a lot of grounding in that moment. While you're experiencing that anger, it'll remind you to come back to the present and feel safe within your body and within your environment. I also like to, whenever you're angry, to release and shaken up that over energetic uh, feelings that I have in my body. I also like to do a few jumping jacks to dispense the extra energy or the excess energy in the body. For main course, of course, I would recommend a therapy session or a coaching session on emotional regulation to understand where exactly is this anger coming from and what is it that is trying to tell you. Because while these techniques are great, these wellness tools are great, it's also important to get to the root cause of why it's happening, and that is where a coach will be able to help you the most. For the main course, I'd also recommend maybe a 15 or a 30-minute walk while listening to music that you enjoy, or just walking with a friend or a colleague, just going on a random walk with a colleague or a friend, or your spouse, anybody that you feel comfortable with. For desserts, I would recommend a creative release, like splashing some paint onto a canvas or to a paper, or just rip some paper. Just like start ripping some paper every time you're angry. Again, it will be a physical sign for your body and for your mind to let go and shake these negative emotions from your body, that is anger. Lastly, when you know that you're going through grief, hurt, or your pain, let's assume that you're going through a very difficult loss in your life. uh, this can be a very shaky period, so I recommend incorporating a lot of wellness tools throughout the day so that you feel more centered and you come back to yourself and you have something that you can reach out to even when life is not at its best. So for starters or appetizers, I would recommend maybe 10 minutes of writing a letter to the person that you've lost. Let's say, for example, you're experiencing loss or grief. Write a letter to the person you've lost or who has hurt you. You don't have to send it. I'm not saying go all out and send it, but just write the letter, see how you feel about it. Let your thoughts and emotions flow in the form of writing. Maybe even practice some meditation, which is uh, self-compassion meditation for starters. Be kind to yourself in this entire journey, or you're going through a lot of hurt and pain, and give yourself some time to unwind and be there for yourself. For starters, I would definitely recommend joining a therapy or a grief circle. Talk to a therapist, explore a ritual, or just honor what you've lost. Sit with yourself and allow yourself to feel that you've lost something in your life, even if it's by expressive arts. A lot of times you're not able to put into words what you're feeling when you're going through a lot of pain, hurt, or grief. So just let yourself be creative, use some expressive art where you explore your emotions with a few colors and doodles. You'll be surprised by how wonderful these techniques are. For snacks, you can rewatch a comforting movie, or even listen to sad songs. It's wonderful to listen to sad songs. It makes you process emotions. It makes you cry, which is a great thing. And allow yourself to feel it, to move through the emotion, and just allow yourself to feel your emotions fully, and eventually release the pain, hurt, grief that you're holding on to. So I would love for you to take this menu and these inputs and go create your own menu. Yeah. All right, that brings us to the end of our presentations. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Also, if you need any help, or if you need any help with designing your menu, or any practices that you want more help with, feel free to reach out to us. I've shared our contact details here. I will be happy to help you with everything that you have your needs and choices are. Ritesh, I'm handing over to you now.
I am audible. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Ritesh. Yes.
Now we can.
So, as we wrap, remember your mental health is snapped by small daily choices. And just like a menu, you can design your day with right mix of mood boosters, grounding practices, and calming rituals. Thank you for joining us, and special thanks to Deshna and Shivani for guiding us through this creative, practical approach to mental well-being. Stay tuned for the next week, Wellness Wednesday. Follow us and follow us on our social media for updates and highlights. See you at the next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It was good to deliver this session for everyone.
Thanks, Deshna. Thanks, Ritesh. We'll see you around for the next webinar then. All right. Bye-bye.